Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're diving into The Secret of Success by William Walter Atkinson, a classic book that uncovers the timeless principles behind true success. Atkinson shares practical wisdom on how to develop self-confidence, focus your mind, and take control of your thoughts to achieve your goals. If you're ready to understand what really sets successful people apart and how you can apply these secrets in your own life, this is the right video for you. Let's get started. The concept of personality. All people are striving and seeking success. Their idea of success may differ, but they have all agreed upon the desirability of attainment. Attainment, that is the word which embodies the essence of that which we all call success. It is the getting there idea, the idea of attainment, of reaching the goal for which we set out. Every person possesses dormant and latent individualities, but only a few allow it to express itself. Atkinson writes, "If you will stop and take stock of yourself, you will find that you are a more complex being than you had at first considered yourself to be. In the first place, there is the I, which is the real self or the individual, and there is the me, which is something attached to the belonging to the I, the personality. For proof of this, let the I take stock of the me, and it will find that the latter consists of three phases or principles. First one, the physical body. Second one, the vital energy, and the mind. Many people are in the habitat of regarding their bodies as the I part of them, but a little consideration will show them that the body is but a material covering or machine through which and by means of which the I is able to manifest itself. A little thought will show that one may be vividly conscious of the I am part of himself while totally oblivious of the presence of the physical body. This being so, it follows that the I is independent of the body and that the latter falls into the me classification. The physical body may exist after the I has left it. The dead body is not the I. The physical body is composed of countless particles which are changing places every moment of our lives. Our body of today is entirely different from our body of a year ago. Then comes the second principle of the me, the vital energy, or what many call life. This is seen to be independent of the body, which it energizes, but it too is transitory and changeable and readily may be seen to be but as something used to animate and energize the body, an instrument of the I and therefore a principle of the me. With a realization of the I or real self comes a sense of power that will manifest through you and make you strong. The awakening to a realization of the I in its clearness and vividness will cause you to feel a sense of being and power that you have never before known. Before you can express individuality, you must realize that you are an individual, and you must be aware of this I within you before you can realize that you are an individual. The me side of you is what is called personality, to the outer appearance of yourself. Your personality is made up of countless characteristics, traits, habits, thoughts, expressions, and motions. It is a bunch of peculiarities and personal traits that you have been thinking was the real I all the time. But it is not. Webster gives the following as one of the meanings of person, even to this day: a character or part, as in a play, an assumed character. So then, personality means that the part you are playing in the great play of life on the stage of the universe is what personality means. The real individual Concealed behind the mask of personality is you, the real self, the I, that part of you which you are conscious when you say I am, which is your assertion of existence and latent power. Individual means something that cannot be divided or subtracted from, something that cannot be injured or hurt by outside forces, something real. And you are an individual, a real self, an I, something endowed with life, mind, and power to use as you will. To us, the word spirit expresses the idea of the real essential nature of the universal power, and which is also manifested in man as the center of his being, his essential strength and power, from whence proceeds all that renders him an individual. Spiritedness means the state of being animated, meaning possessed of life and vigor, so that the state is really that of being filled with power and life. And that power and life comes from the very center of one's being, the I am region or plane of mind and consciousness. According to Murphy, spiritedness is manifested in different degrees among different men and even among the animals. It is an elementary, fundamental, primitive quality and expression of life and does not depend upon culture, refinement, or education. Its development seems to depend upon such instinctive or intuitional recognition of the something within, the power of the individual, which is derived from that universal power of which we are all expressions, and even some of the animals seems to possess it. We wonder at the achievements of the great men in all walks of life, and we are apt to excuse ourselves by the sad remark that these people seem to have it in them while we have not. Nonsense, we all have it in us to do things 100 times greater than we are doing. The trouble is not in greater than we are doing. The trouble is not in the lack of power and mental material, but in the desire and interest and incentive to arouse into activity those wonderful storehouses of dynamic power within our mentality. We fail to call into our disposal, and which is like all other natural powers and forces, eager and anxious to be manifested and expressed. Important elements for success. Desire is the great motive power inciting the will to action in life. The action of will without the motive power of desire is unthinkable, and therefore it follows that the culture and right direction of desire carries with it the channel of expression and manifestation of the will. You cultivate certain desires in order that the will may flow out along these channels. By cultivating the desire along certain lines, you are making channels along which the will may flow in its rush toward expression and manifestation. So be sure to map out your desire channels clearly by making the proper mental images of what you want, and be sure and make the desire channels deep and clear-cut by the force of repeated attention and autosuggestion. Buxton said, "The longer I live, the more certain I am that the great difference between man, between the feeble and the powerful, the great and the insignificant, is energy, invincible determination, a purpose once fixed, and the victory or death. That quality will do anything that can be done in this world, and no talents, no circumstances, no opportunities will make a two-legged creature a man without it." In this last sentence, the idea of persistence and determination is identified closely with that of will, and they are closely identified. The idea being that the will should be held close, fast, and steadily against the task to be accomplished, just as the steel chisel is held firmly against the object on the lathe until its work is accomplished. It is not the mere determination or persistency that does the work. These would be of no avail unless the will were there to do the cutting and shaping. But then again, there is a double aspect of will here. The will in one phase of the work, where it does the work, while in another it forces the mind to hold it up against the task. So in a sense, the will is the power back of determination and persistency. You often heard the word enthusiasm used, or have used it often yourself. But have you ever thought of what the word really means, from what source it originated? What is its essential spirit? Few have. The word enthusiasm is derived from the Greek term meaning to be inspired, to be possessed by the gods. The term has been used to designate the mental state of an inspired person who seems to be under the influence of a higher power. The term originally meant inspired by a superhuman or divine power, ecstasy, etc. It is now used, according to Webster, in the sense of enkindled and kindling fervor of soul, ardent and imaginative zeal or interest, lively manifestation of joy or zeal, etc. A person filled with enthusiasm seems indeed to be inspired by some power or higher, something higher than himself. He taps onto a source of power of which he is not ordinarily conscious. And the result is that he becomes, as a great magnet, radiating attractive force in all directions and influencing those within his field of influence. For enthusiasm is contagious, and when really experienced by the individual, renders him a source of inductive power and the center of mental influence. But the power with which he is filled does not come from an outside source. It comes from certain inner regions of his mind or soul, from his inner consciousness. Without a certain amount of enthusiasm, no one ever has attained success and never will do so. There is no power in personal intercourse that can be compared to enthusiasm or right sword. Enthusiasm of the right sort, writes Atkinson. It comprises earnestness, concentration and power, and there are very few people that cannot be influenced in some degree by its manifestation by another. Few people realize the actual value of enthusiasm. Many have succeeded by reason of its possession, and many have failed by reason of its lack. Enthusiasm is the steam that drives our mental powers, faculties, and which indirectly thus accomplishes the great things in life. You cannot accomplish tasks properly yourself unless you manifest a degree of interest in them. And what is enthusiasm but interest plus inspiration? Inspired, interest, that's what enthusiasm is. By the power of enthusiasm, the great things of life are brought to expression and accomplishment. Enthusiasm is not a thing which some possess and others lack. All people have it potentially, but only a few are able to express it. The majority is afraid to let themselves feel a thing and then to let the feeling express itself in powerful action like the steam in an engine. The majority of people do not know how to get up the steam of enthusiasm. They fail to keep the fires of interest and desire kindled under their mental boiler, and the consequence is they fail to get up the steam of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm may be developed by cultivating interest and love of your task. Interest, confidence, and desire arouse enthusiasm, and it remains for you to either concentrate it so that its effect will be directed straight toward the object, person or thing that you wish to move, or else allow it to dissipate itself in the air without result. Like steam, enthusiasm may be dissipated or used by concentrated direction. It produces results. And by foolish waste and dissipation it fails to do so. The more interest you take in a thing, the greater does your confidence and desire grow, and from this arise the steam of enthusiasm. So remember always that interest is the mother of enthusiasm. Desire is a much abused term. The public mind has largely identified it with its abnormal or degenerate phase, just mentioned, ignoring its original and true sense. Many use the word in the sense of an unworthy longing or craving instead of in the true sense of inspiration, worthy craving and longing, etc. To call desire aspiration renders it nonetheless desire. Desire is the natural and universal impulse toward action, be the action or good or bad. Without desire, the will does not spring into action and nothing is accomplished. Even the highest attainments and aims of the race are possible only when the steam of will is aroused by the flame and heat of desire. Mental approach. There has been nothing created by the hands and mind of man which did not have its first origin in the imagination of someone. Imagination is the first step in creation, whether of worlds or tribals. The mental pattern must always precede the material form, and so it is in the creation of desire. Before you can create a desire, you must have a clear mental image of what you need to desire. You will find that this task of creating a mental image is a little harder than you had expected at the start. You will find it hard to form even a faint mental picture of that which you need. But be not discouraged and persevere, for in this, as everything else, practice makes perfect. Each time you try to form the mental image, it will appear a little clearer and more distinct, and the details will come into a little more prominence. Do not tire yourself at first, but lay aside the task until later in the day or tomorrow. But practice and persevere, and you need just as clearly as a memory picture of something you have already seen. Then, after having acquired the clear mental image of the things you wish to desire, and thus attain, cultivate and focusing of the attention upon these things. The word attention is derived from the Latin word attendere, meaning to stretch forth. The original idea being that in attention the mind was stretched forth or extended toward the object of attention, and this is the correct idea, for that is the way the mind operates in the matter. Keep the ideas before your attention as much as possible so that the mind may take a firm grasp upon them and make them a part of itself. By doing this, you firmly impress the ideas upon the wax tablet of the mind. There is in nature a great law, the law of attraction, by the operations of which all things form from cells to men are attracted toward each other in the degree of the common affinity of common use. The reverse of this law, which is merely another manifestation of its power, is what is called repulsion, which is but the other pole of attraction, and by the operations of which things tend to repel each other in the degree that they are unlike, opposing, and of no use to each other. The law of attraction is universal on all the planes of life, from the physical to the spiritual, Its operations are uniform and constant, and we may take the phenomena of one plane and thereby study the phenomena of another plane. From the same rule applies in each case, the same law is in operation in the same way. We hear much about personal magnetism these days. It is a special quality of the mental being of the individual that serves to bring other persons into a mood or state of mind sympathetic with that of the magnetic person. Some men have this quality developed to a wonderful extent and are able to bring about a harmonious agreement on the part of other persons in a short time, while others are almost entirely deficient in this respect, and their very presence tends to arouse antagonism in the minds of others. The majority of people accept the idea of personal magnetism without question, but few will agree upon any theory attempting to account for it. Those who have studied the matter carefully know that the whole thing depends upon the mental states of the individual and upon his ability to cause others to catch his mental vibrations. This catching is caused by what is known as mental induction. Induction, is that property or quality or process by which one body having electrical or magnetic polarity produces it in another without direct contact. And mental induction is a manifestation of similar phenomena on the mental plane. People's mental states are catching or contagious, and if one infuses enough life and enthusiasm into his mental states, they will affect the minds of persons with whom they come in contact. We have explained this in other videos as well, especially in the seminar of Bob Proctor, the You Were Born Rich seminar. It seems to us that the prime factor in successful mental induction or manifestations of personal magnetism is enthusiasm. Another valuable bit of personality is that of self-respect. If you have real self-respect, it will manifest itself in your outward demeanor and appearance. Face the world firmly and fearlessly, keeping your eyes well to the front. Hold up your hand. There is nothing like a stiff backbone and a raised head for meeting the world. The man with bent head seems to apologize for living and being on the earth, and the world is apt to take such at their own valuation. An erect head enables one to walk past the dragons at the door of success. A writer gives the following good advice on this subject: hold your ear lobes directly over your shoulders so that a plumb line hung from the ear describes the line of your body. Be sure also not to carry the head either to the right or left, but vertical. Many men make the mistake, especially while waiting for a customer to finish some important piece of business, of leaning the head to the right or the left. This indicates weakness. A study of men discloses the fact that the strong men never tilt the head. Their heads sit perfectly straight on strong necks, their shoulders held easily yet firmly in position are inspiring in their strength, indicating poise. Another bit of personality worth cultivating is the art of taking an interest in others. Taking an interest in others is an art that well repays the student of success to cultivate it. Of course, one must always keep the main chance before him and not allow his own interests to suffer by reason of his interest in others. That goes without saying, for unreasonable altruism is just as one-sided as undue selfishness. But there is a middle course. You will find something of interest in every person with whom you come in contact, and if you will but turn your attention to that interest, it will manifest itself in such a way that the person will be conscious of it, will appreciate it, and will be glad to respond by taking an interest in you. This is not time-serving or flattery. It is the law of compensation working on the mental plane. You get what you give. If you will stop and think a moment, you will find that the people whose personality seems the most attractive to you are the people who seem to take an interest in your own personality. This taking an interest in others manifests itself in many ways, one of which is in making you a good listener. You must use ordinary judgment and tact in regulating the time you give to others, depending upon the person and the particular circumstances of the case. What we do mean is that while you're listening, you should listen well. There is no subtler compliment that one person can pay to another than listening well to him or her. To listen well is to listen with interest. Be careful not to bore people with your personal experiences. Forget your personal self in talking to others, except when it is right to the point to bring yourself in. People do not want to hear what a wonderful fellow you are. They want to tell you what wonderful people they are, which is very much more pleasant to them. You must endeavor to take in consideration the fact that talking about things of interest to the other person is not worthy if he wants to talk about himself. Another important point in personality is self-control, particularly in the matter of keeping your temper. Anger is a mark of weakness, not of strength. The man who loses his temper immediately places himself at a disadvantage. Remember the old saying, those whom the gods would destroy, they first make angry. You will find that a control of the outward expression will give you control of your inner mental state. You will find that if you are able to control your voice, keeping it calm, steady and low-pitched, you will not fly into a passion, and more than this, you will find by so doing that the voice of the other fellow will gradually come down from its loud, boisterous tone, and in the end, both of you will be pitching your voices in the same key. And you have set that keynote. This is worth remembering. This control of the voice, it is a secret well worth knowing and practicing. These were my notes on The Secret of Success by William Walker Atkinson, a book that shares practical wisdom on how to develop self-confidence, focus your mind, and take control of your thoughts to achieve your goals. Thanks for watching. See you in the next videos. Take care.